Hey everyone. So I was inspired by Natasha at Treasure Books, and I will link that video below. I think it was quick 5-minute projects, and she was making paper clips with these beautiful beads at the bottom. Super simple. Probably have already seen it. I think it has like 300,000 views, but it inspired me because at the time I was trying to figure out a way to use more fabric in my journals because I have lots of fabric. So that's what I did. I took her idea and I made fabric paper clips, hidden paper clips. Like this one is on fabric, and I just did a little cluster there and did some beads at the end. This one is long enough that it can fit the whole entire book. You can make them shorter, like I clipped them on this little short page so I didn't have to make my beads as long to hang off the bottom. And again, this one is on fabric. And I did sew around some of these, but you certainly don't have to. Like this one is fabric that I have glued napkin to. I have a video on that and I will link it below as well. And everyone asks, what do you do with those when you're done? Well, this is one thing that I've done is I've made hidden paper clips and just have some beads at the bottom. So your string goes on the back side and it will hang from the back like so. You can see that. And then your little beads hang off the bottom of your book like this. Isn't that cool? So I thought I would show you how I did those today. And of course, this one I didn't sew around. And when I glued the napkin onto those, and by the way, this book is horrible. Look, the pocket's upside down. I was making this cinched book for my daughter, and it turned out terrible. But I'm going to redo it, and I'm going to do that on camera. And I just have a good feeling that it's going to turn out great. So on the napkin ones, as I was saying, these are stiffer because when I glued the napkin down, I didn't wait for it to dry. I ironed it. I had a viewer to suggest that, to iron it and it would dry really fast. It did, and it made it a little stiffer, which I really liked. But today I didn't do that. I have some here that I had glued previously, and I thought we could just use those. So that's what I did on the front. I glued some napkin, and see, it's more pliable. It's still a little bit stiff, but I also had a viewer say, why does everything have to be grungy? So I'm going to try to make this one not grungy. So I've just taken some fabric, glued on my napkin, and the back piece of fabric has nothing on it yet. So I don't know. I want to stamp just to give it a little bit of decoration. So I'm going to pick out some pretty stamps here and just stamp on the back a little bit. As always, I have my Kath Sachs stamp. I had to name it after her. She got that for me, and I love it. I think I'm going to use my little script stamp too. And I'm just going to use some vintage sepia. I could certainly use, I said I wasn't going to make this grungy. That might look grungy. So I'm going to use some blue just to change it up a bit. This is Midnight Blue. That's pretty, isn't it? I like that blue on the cloth. I have a little number here. Maybe this butterfly. see it very good, but it's still, in person, it's enough that I can certainly tell it's a butterfly. And then I'm going to just take the vintage one, put it along the side. Something like that. How easy is that to decorate your fabric? I like that. Kind of goes with the front anyway, because it has some writing in that napkin, so that kind of goes together. So I've learned some things from these. It doesn't matter what size paper clip. I have some of the smaller ones, and I have the larger ones. I'll use the larger ones today. I normally don't make a whole bunch to sample, but I was trying to, see what worked the best. So I have some, I went into my scrap paper and I picked out some heavier cardstock, and I'm just going to bend it at about half of this. It doesn't have to be all the way down to the bottom of your fabric or all the way to the top. I get it pretty close to the top though. I'm just going to fold it like that. No measuring. I'm going to trim off the bottom so that it's even. And this doesn't have to even be a neutral color, because if your fabric is darker, you're not going to see it. It's not going to show. And I'm going to trim off a little bit of the side because I have a little notch out of my fabric and I don't want this to show. So I'm going to trim it down just a little bit more. Making sure that that is hidden, and it is. So that's good. Now what I did was I left some at the top, and I tied some. This has twine, this one has ribbon, and this is twine as well. Kind of looks like it goes all the way through, but it doesn't. It's two separate pieces. I just thought that looked kind of neat. And I liked how on her video she kind of shredded the ends to give it that frayed look, and I like that. So I did it on those. But so after you fold it over, you just put your paper clip down. And before I do that, but I wanted to show you something. You want your longer end to be on the back, or whichever side you want your beads to hang from, which I liked mine from the back. That's the longer side. And I think that it's going to be easier to hang the string before we put our paper clip on. You could also put whatever you're going to put on the top on first. And I don't really know where I'm going to hang this, if it's going to be on a full-size journal or, a shorter piece. So I'm just going to guess at the size I want my string, and I'll hang it on the page accordingly so that it shows from the bottom. But I found that this part here you need to kind of do first. So I just put that through, half it like that, and then pull your bottom pieces through. And there is the back side. Now, one thing she did that I thought was genius, I hadn't thought of it before, because twine is very hard to get through beads, especially my beads. I don't have a lot of really small beads. And she just put a dab of glue on the end and twisted it to a point so that it would go through the beads really well, and it works like a charm. So I'm gonna go ahead while I'm messing with the rest of my stuff and put that on. That way it can be drying while we're assembling the rest of our paper clip. Just kind of twisting it to a point. Okay. Now, if you want, like I say, if you wanted to go ahead and put on your topper at this point, you sure can. It might be easier to do that. I think that I will do that. I'm going to get a piece of, I think maybe some kind of a yellow seam binding to go with these flowers. I think that would be pretty. So let me grab some seam binding real quick and I'll be right back. Just grabbed my bag of yellow because I wanted to show you that You could use anything. It doesn't have to be, you could use ribbon or some of this crinkly stuff. That's kind of neat looking. Eyelash trim would be good. This stuff here kind of caught my eye. I thought that was kind of neat. And there's some eyelash trim. That would look good. Some little fuzzy down there. But I was kind of looking at this bright, this is sari silk. Maybe I would use a piece of that. Something like that at the top. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? So let's do a piece of that. It's very bright and happy. You could add 2 or 3 things in the same piece. It doesn't have to be just one piece. So maybe I'll take a little bit of this eyelash trim too and see how that works. Put the 2 pieces together. I don't know if you can see it very well, but we're going to try that. And I think I will go ahead and put that on first. You wouldn't have to, because we're going to leave a little bit of this sticking up from the top. It's just easier to get a hold of it now rather than trying to get it through the little tip of that at the end. So there is our topper. And I don't know how long I want to leave it. I'm going to just leave it long for now until I get done with it, but there is that. So then what I do is I go ahead and put in my piece. Just like this. Pull that tight. And I've got, like I said, the string, I like it on the back, like that. So now we're just going to glue down our fabric to the front and to the back. How easy is this? Isn't that great? Oh, and one other thing that I thought I wanted to do this time, I want to, rather than just glue it with fabric glue, I'm going to put some double-sided tape. I feel like that helps it a little bit. So I'm going to put some double-sided tape. Well, I guess, yeah, I'm going to get some double-sided tape. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just have some double-sided tape here, and I'm going to run it alongside and across my paper clip. I probably should have put it on first, but I didn't, so that's okay. And then I'm going to also use a little bit of glue. And this is Fabri-Tac. Since this will be my front, I'm going to put this piece on. And I like to go all the way almost up to this right here. I just like it to stick over the top a little bit. I'm just pushing that down. And I'm going to flip it over and do the very same thing to the back. And then here is the back piece. And I'm going to do the same to it. Now, also, you don't have to have your fabric pieces the same size because they're not going to show together. You won't see that these aren't even, just like this one. The back piece of mine was bigger than the front, and when I hang it on a page, like this, I always know I want that string on the back. When I hang it on a page, it no longer matters what the back of it looks like. See, here's your bigger piece and your smaller piece on the front, and it just doesn't matter that they're not the same size when it's hanging on a page. I thought that was kind of neat. So here they are. They're both glued together. I'm going to let them dry a little bit before I put them over a page. And while they're drying, now my little bits at the bottom are dry. I'm going to go ahead and hang some beads. I don't have a lot of fancy beads. I don't have any fancy beads, really. Well, that's a lie. I have some that I got from the secondhand shop that I haven't taken off of. I wonder if those will fit. These are paper beads. I like to use those because you can make the centers of them bigger if you need to. I got some at the secondhand shop, as I was saying, and I just haven't taken them apart yet, so maybe something like that. Or this. I like those. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. That's the hardest part for me, is getting the beads strung through. Pull it real tight. Make sure it's not going to come off. And then I took my, and she showed this on her video, I took my little awl, and just kind of frayed the ends. And because I have the glue on there, you can either cut that off or just pull your awl through it. I will probably end up cutting it off. I put a lot of glue, so it may not, oh, yeah, there it pulled through. And just fray your ends. So then you have this neat looking little piece. So I'm going to do the same to the other side, and that's it. We're going to hang it on a page and see how pretty it looks, and then we'll be done. So here it is. Not the prettiest beads, but we've got them frayed. I have some red, orange, yellow to go with my flowers. And let's just hang this over a page and see how pretty it looks. Plus, I could always cut down, you know, the top too if I didn't want it that long. Let's just use this page again. So because you didn't glue these together, you just want to make sure your beads are to the back, and it should slide right down over your little page. And another thing, oh, I've got my strings, was going to tell you, doesn't that look pretty? Isn't that pretty? Is that when I first started making these, I made my paper inside not as big, which works fine. You don't have to. And this is red, so you can't. But it's harder to get on your sheet if your paper's not almost the width of your fabric. So there it is. What do you think? Do you like that? I think that turned out really pretty. Oh, where's my other piece? Oh, it fell behind. So I think it looks pretty on both sides. Look, just to knocking stuff over. So it looks good on that side and this side. And then, of course, when you have your book closed, doesn't really match the purple. I'm just putting on that to show what it would look like hanging out from underneath your page. But I hope you like these. I hope you'll give them a try. Maybe they've inspired you to use them in another way. I love using fabric. And also, another thing, if your knot isn't on your paper, like I made my paper bigger so the knot was on my paper, you know what I mean? It's harder to string on a page. The good thing is that it is open, so it's not like you can't open it up and thread it down through there, but it's just, I think, easier if you make your paper a little bit bigger. And like I said, I was trying all sorts of things when I first started making them just to see what would work best. And I love this. I hope that you guys like these. I hope you'll give them a try. And let me know what kind of ideas you come up with. And maybe I've done something here that was way too difficult and could have been done easier. Let me know that too. I love all your suggestions. Probably shouldn't try to hang that on the same page, but look at me go. Very pretty. I love them. I hope you do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.